The Bug Books Podcast!
What are the things that door-to-door gets wrong in pest control?
Door-to-door people have lied, cheat, and stole their way to success in the past. And everybody's gonna remember that time somebody came and gypped them and they didn't get what they thought they were gonna get. The negative spreads way quicker than the positive. There's companies that are willing to turn their heads at the unethical because of production. What is your strategy? Do you want to build a good business that's maybe sellable? Then you better be focusing on leaving good impressions with people. I've known this for the 27 years that I've been doing door-to-door.
Our guest today is Lenny Gray. He's the CEO of Rove Pest Control and the best-selling author of Door-to-Door Millionaire, Secrets of Making the Sale. With over 2 decades of experience in direct sales, Lenny has trained thousands of reps and help generate millions in revenue through ethical and effective door-to-door strategies.
My mission in life right now is to make door-to-door reputable and honorable, integrity-based, ethical, because it can be done. It's not only going to reflect well on you as a human being, but the company you represent, the industry you represent. They can feel better at night going to bed saying, I did it the right way.
Hey everyone, welcome back to the Bug Bucks Podcast. I'm your host, Allan Draper. Very grateful for your time. I know you're busy. I know you've got 1,000 things on your plate today, and I appreciate you spending a few minutes listening to the podcast. And it's my goal that there's some information in here that helps you improve your pest control company in some way. I'm really excited for our guest today. Before we get to him, make sure that you join BugBucks Plus. Just go to bugbucksplus.com, and there's a link right at the top. It says something like Get Started. It's our online training platform. There's so many resources in there for your entire team, not just for you, but in addition to you, that you're going to want to check out. So go to bugbucksplus.com and sign up today. Our guest today, we've had him before. His name's Lenny Gray. He's the CEO of Rove Pest Control and the best-selling author of Door-to-Door Millionaire and Door-to-Door Millionaire, Secrets of Making the Sale. With over 2 decades of experience in direct sales, Lenny has trained thousands of reps and helped generate millions in revenue through ethical and effective door-to-door strategies. He's one of the most respected voices in door-to-door, and I've known him for a really long time and trust him, and just a great friend and resource to me. So thank you so much for joining us. Lenny, welcome to the show.
Thanks, Allan. No, this is exciting. In fact, the funny thing is, as you're doing that intro, I'm reminded, because we just had an acquisition, that after 20 some odd years, I am not currently the CEO of Rove Pest Control anymore. But yeah, held that position since 2003 up until June of 25. So there you go.
I read that intro, and then as I was reading it, I thought the same thing, because I'm aware of the acquisition. I think a lot of people in pest control are. So congrats on that, man. Congrats on, it's funny because we build pest control companies, and I think in the beginning, at least for me, it was like, I don't know what's going to happen. I don't know, what direction. And I know that's not the best way to build something. A lot of times you want the vision, all that laid out, but it's cool to see, people be able to, and you've been in it for so long, and Rove's such a great company for a lot of reasons, to be able to take that big step and, kind of sit back a little bit. I know there's still some things in flux, is my guess, but look back at, some of the accomplishments that Rove has made and the incredible people that have come from that company.
Yeah, no, and this is our third exit, I guess you could say technically. So we had an exit in 2007, one in 2014, and then one in 2025. So yeah, growing and building something with people. We've never had like this vision where it's, we want to at X dollar amount or this much revenue, that's when we're going to plan on the next exit. We always kind of feel like we built to sell, right? Good book. But that's kind of been our strategy. And if the right opportunity comes along, then we'd probably be foolish not to take it. So not that we had our sights set on something in particular. It was just a timing thing and how it all went down. And again, that's the third time we felt like it's been the opportune time to make that exit.
So when you say it's the third time, were the previous exits, were they complete exits or were branches sold off?
Yeah, great question. So the first exit in '07, we had just sold our Salt Lake operation, and we still had branches up in Minnesota, which ended up being our headquarters of Rove. We were in Oklahoma, I believe in Arkansas and Nebraska at the time. And then in 2014, we sold everything except Minnesota. And then, just kind of built from there. So technically, just depending on when this airs and everything else, like technically we still have Rove Pest Control operating in Phoenix because the acquisition with GreenX, that wasn't part of their footprint. So we kept that, but there's obviously some moving parts to how that looks and works, as we've been moving forward.
I get the question a lot, like, hey, Allan, how do I know when I should open another branch? What's the answer to that question?
I would say of our time in the industry, I think all of us, we've got 3 partners, me and two other partners at Rove. I would bet that all 3 of us would be united to say, I wish we didn't expand to some of our markets as fast as we did. Not saying that expansion isn't great outside of your market or outside of your state, but I really feel like, if we would have just, in 2014, if we'd have just stayed in Minnesota, for instance, and we just ramped up Minnesota from north, south, east, west, we just were a Minnesota brand until we really felt like we'd capitalized on that market. I think we would all agree that would probably have been a smarter move than maybe opening some of these ancillary branches, which it's fine. They did well, but putting your resources into one location until you've really maximized that market, I just think that's a smarter move, generally speaking.
So it's funny because I get the temptation. There's something like, it's like a badge of honor or something, like, yeah, I have a branch here and I have a branch there. And at Proof, we did it a little bit strictly because we would have equity partners. We would have folks that would bring in door-to-door teams specifically and help us grow from the ground up. And it's like, well, how do we do that with an existing branch? So we had other reasons, but in terms of just, hey, should I, open a new branch in a different market? The only reason why I would do that, if there's not some personnel reason, is if I get a good deal on an acquisition. But people ask me that, they're like, hey, when should I, expand to a new area? And if they're in a metro area, like a Minneapolis, a Detroit, a Boston, I'm like, get north of 10 to 15,000 active, and then let's start talking, right? Those markets can handle so much. And when you've been there for a long time and you become maybe not a household name, but it's something somebody drove by your truck or a billboard or whatever it is, it just makes a difference, makes life a lot easier.
Yeah, no, it does. I mean, it is fun, right? It's fun to open the website and see locations, or maybe have several states and cities. I mean, that there is a badge of honor, so to speak, as you mentioned, in some regards. But I think the smart move is to just run a really great company that's very efficiently run and that maximizes profits, right? And if you're doing that the right way, most everybody can probably work on doing that in a solo office. I mean, I do a lot of coaching for even regional pest control companies, and every single company that is outside of just one location, there's always that stepchild branch or two that they're like, why did we start it here? We couldn't find the right people. And that always happened. I mean, to point, our Arizona branch, the reason we started it was because of who, not where, because it was totally outside of our footprint of where our offices were. Well, that who ended up going away like a year or 2 later. And so now we're stuck with this branch that we're like, again, it's kind of like this stepchild branch. We're like, what do we do with it and how are we going to run? And it's complicated things to a certain extent. So, looking back, yes, I totally agree with you. You have to grow with the right people. But even sometimes then you can't rely on those right people to actually be the smartest move long term, if it ended up being what happened to us.
100%. 100%. I opened our second branch. So we started in Detroit, then we went to Boston. That branch, we had an equity partner. That's why we didn't just double down in Detroit. And we opened it the second year we were in business. And my partner, he actually did a really good job. And he's no longer with us. He decided to sell his equity to us and move on to something else. But that was a success. So you're exactly right. If you expand because of a who, it's like that person most likely will move on at some point, or things will change, family event, something. Luckily, and we've had it where it didn't work out well, where they made it half the season or not even a year, so we're not even profitable yet, and they're already jumping ship. But with the Boston branch, that did work, end up working for us. But it was, he put in 5, 6, 7 years. But you're absolutely right. What a great lesson. Like, because you can't control what they do, and sometimes what's best for them, your interests are aligned at that moment where you're like, hey, let's open a branch in a new market. But then those interests might change for whatever reason. So that's such a good piece of advice. So let's chat a little bit about door to door. If I told you that there's some folks out there that are ruining the door to door industry in pest control, what would you say?
I would say I've known this for the 27 years that I've been doing door to door, Allan. So I don't think that comes as any surprise to me that there is the ugly side of door to door. And I know somebody like you, that's what you're trying to do, elevate the door-to-door industry. Somebody like me, that's my mission in life right now, is to make door-to-door reputable and honorable, integrity-based, ethical.
Absolutely.
Because it can be done. This is why I write books about door-to-door. It's like, I'll tell you everything I say and everything I do. I'll record everything. I'll put it in print, because unfortunately, there's just a part of the population of door-to-door reps out there that, I mean, it could be because they were trained wrong. It could be because they just don't know any better. It could be just because they're evil. No, I'm kidding. But whatever the reason is, that they think they have to say and do certain things, and that they don't need to say or do to be as successful as they currently are. And they can feel better at night going to bed saying, I did it the right way. Like, that to me, at the end of the day, I'm a big believer in karma, right? You do enough bad by people, like, bad's going to come back to you. If you do enough good by people, good's going to come back to you. So why not do it the right way? Why not, increase the integrity of the door-to-door industry? It's not only going to reflect well on you as a human being, but the company you represent, the industry you represent. There's such a ripple effect with either good and positive, in door-to-door and sales in general, and the likewise. So, or the opposite.
There's somebody that's part of the Bug Bucks community, and he was on the local news. I think it was Georgia. And if someone can help me with these facts after the fact, just post it in the Bug Bucks group where I messed up on this. But they had this special, and they were interviewing him about illegal door-to-door tactics and practices. And this was on the local news. And look, I have some personal opinions about the right to knock doors. I honestly don't think you should need a permit. I feel like in our country, you need a permit to do anything nowadays, and I'm not a fan of that. I think somebody should be able to knock on your door. If you don't want to, don't answer the door, right? And if you ask them to leave, they should leave, right? But he did this segment, and there was a permit that was required. In some states, it's harder than others to get a permit. Something about they had to do 40 hours of training in order to qualify for the permit. But he posted this, and it wasn't so, and I didn't watch the segment. I need to find it. It wasn't so much that he was doing it. It was all the comments on his post of him announcing that he was doing it, about how much people dislike the door-to-door industry. And like, I wanted to get in there and like defend all the door-to-door guys. And I was like, well, I can't, for a couple of reasons. One, I know there's some bad actors out there. Two, I don't know everybody. But it was like kind of a personal shot, because I've seen so many great companies be built with door-to-door. That's how we did it. We do a mix now. It's not just door-to-door. But, I'm trying to approach this like logically. But there's so much out there. This is true of a lot of things, where it's like there's one bad actor, but it's not everybody. Are you looking for a powerful, natural way to control mosquitoes and ticks? Archeon Life Sciences has 2 FIFRA 25B exempt products to solve those problems. Stop the Bites is a proven product for killing mosquitoes and ticks, and their brand new product, Eraditic, is extremely powerful against ticks. Both products have a 21-day recommended retreatment rate, seamlessly fitting into your service routes. Proven effective and trusted in the industry, Archeon Life Sciences is your go-to manufacturer for natural pesticides. Ask your local distributor about Stop the Bites and Eraditic from Archeon, and follow Archeon Life Sciences on LinkedIn. Oh, and keep an eye on Archeon as they continue to develop more eco-friendly products. I have my opinions about this, but what are the things that door-to-door gets wrong in pest control?
So, and I'm going to put a pin on that because it reminds me years ago when I first released my book, and this was, I think, 2012, my first book, right? I've got a few now, but my first book, Door-to-Door Millionaire, most people know me by that book. I released that, and I got a call from a company up in Canada. It was a news station, basically. It's a national news. It's called CBC Marketplace. I don't know if it's still around or not. It is. Yeah, so it's like the 60 Minutes, right? We know 60 Minutes in the States, but up in Canada it's called CBC Marketplace. They flew me up there, and they basically wanted me to talk about door-to-door because there was a lot of people scamming people up in the Ontario province or whatever. And so I got up there, and they had a lady in particular who was sold I think a water heater or something. And they said, we're going to have you knock on her door and try to sell her pest control. And because we know she got gypped and she hates door-to-door, but her husband's kind of setting this up. So, I mean, they set me up for failure, right? So I've got the glasses, I've got the recording, and I had a little assistant with me, and she's got a coffee mug, and it's recording everything. And they have this van that's parked inconspicuously across the street, and I'm knocking on doors, and we go up to this lady, and they've got this all on video, obviously. And I go to this lady, and I didn't sell her, like, no surprise, right? Like some people, like, when you're knocking door to door, you don't sell everybody. I call them Tom Cruise, right? Like Mission Impossible. Like there's no way I was going to sell this lady anything. But, we had a good conversation, whatever, and it ended. And then, the anchor comes out of the van like, oh, you're on CBC Marketplace, blah, blah, blah. And then after that, the interesting part of that story is after we did that, they said, hey, do you think you could go sell somebody like a pest control account? And I was like, oh yeah, like done deal. Like that's what I do. They said, well, how long is it going to take? And I was like, 35 minutes max. Like I'll sell somebody. That's just what I do. And so that we pull up to this neighborhood, they did the same thing. I, was still wired and everything. They still had the cameras in the van. And I went up, and like the third person I talked to, I sold. And then the anchor comes out of the van again, and they're like, hey, we're at CBC Marketplace. We're doing a special on door-to-door sales. And actually it was funny because the lady was really upset. She's like, so I don't get this pest control. Like I was really wanting and needing pest control. And now you're saying that it's not, and I'm like, yeah, I don't even have a company here. Sorry. They this was just for the news. But I think the point is, and again, for good reason, like door-to-door people have lied, cheat, and stole their way to success in the past. And everybody's going to remember that time, not when they had a good experience with somebody in door-to-door, but they're going to remember that time somebody came and gypped them, or if it was their niece or their uncle or their grandparents or their parents or whoever, they're going to remember that time that door-to-door person came and lied to them and they didn't get what they thought they were going to get. And now that's going to spread. The negative spreads way quicker than the positive, as we all know. If you run a business, that's just kind of how life goes. Unfortunately, you're kind of not set up to, for success a lot of times. So I think, going back to your original question, I think that there's companies that are willing to turn their heads at the unethical because of production. And they'll look at a rep and they don't realize, again, that ripple effect that one bad apple has on the rest of their company. Because everybody looks to that rep and says, well, they praise this guy or this gal and they're the standard. So I guess I better do and say and be what that person is. And that's how I think ignorantly a lot of door-to-door reps or companies for that matter are built, where they're built on this premise of we just got to be like Timmy because he's amazing and sells, 700 accounts a year, where Timmy could be the most unethical person around, but they just work past it because he's producing.
Okay. So first of all, I'm glad you brought that up. I watched that. It had to be over 10 years ago. Where can people find it? I think it's really cool.
That's a great question. I don't know. I guess maybe just Google CVC Marketplace, Lenny Gray, door to door. I don't even know if it's available anymore. I really it would have had to have been in 2013, maybe 2014. So
I saw it in 2015. I was in Detroit with door-to-door program. So we're gonna put it in the show notes if we can track it down. But it's really cool. And I remember how they did it. Like you're in this van and like you like jump out and it's like, I don't know, obviously like made for TV and stuff, but it was really cool. So we'll definitely find that, see if it's on YouTube or somewhere, track it down, put it in the show notes. But everybody needs to watch that. There's so much going on with, so I love this discussion about there's some bad actors, and in door to door is like, it's a very emotional thing. I don't understand it personally with my personality, and I like talking to people, but man, you knock on some people's door. I don't know why, but they get so angry. And there are all different levels of door knockers. There's people that they can immediately, and you're this type of person because you're like the best, been doing it longer than pretty much anybody, but they can absorb that. They don't take it personally, and they can like talk them down, and like they can tell like, hey, I'm not going to get anywhere with this guy, but I'm not going to disrespect him, and I'm definitely not going to allow it to escalate so that cops get called, negative reviews are posted, all these things. And then we have people that are taking their phones out there and they're recording the entire interaction. And I think this is fueling the fire. There's two reasons why I think in the pest control industry, door to door is so polarizing right now. This is one of them. It's that we get to see in real time, like what people are saying, and sometimes they won't have the customer on video, but you can hear them, right? They'll be, just be filming their face. One thing came recently I saw a video. A buddy of mine owns this company, door-to-door rep, and I know you've seen this video. But for the listener, he takes a package. He's acting like an Amazon delivery driver, has this box with probably nothing in it, and says, here, ma'am, I just need you to sign. And she signs. He takes her a while to convince her that it's an Amazon package or there's some type of conversation. She ends up signing, and then he says, oh, thank you. You just agreed to a year's worth of pest control, right? And I know he's doing it. He's not actually trying to get accounts that way. But it was a real person that he did that to who was really upset.
Yeah. I mean, and right, like it's for the views right now. That's all it is. It's how many views, and people are talking about it, so it worked. So that guy's probably lapping all the way to how many followers he's got or whatever. I don't think it reflects well on the company. Even because some people will look at social media and think it's all truth. Right? It's just everything's true. I look at things black and white. If it's online, it's true. If it's not, if it can't be shown online, it's false. That's not the narrative, and that's not real, right? We all know there's so much gray area in the social media world, and this is that. I don't think that person for an instant really did that, or that was really part of the strategy. I think it was more of just how many views can I get on this? How many people can I get riled up? Unfortunately, things like that do put a negative spin on what door-to-door is. It could totally be staged for all we know. He might have known that lady, just sold her an account, and then went back and said, hey, can you act this up with, who knows, right? But unfortunately, that's the kind of stuff that doesn't help the door-to-door industry as a whole.
So I think door-to-door changed when, the culture's different right now than it used to be 10 years ago, which of course there's going to be changes, but it used to be, hey, I'm getting dropped off in an area and I'm going to knock until my ride picks me up or we meet at this location. And it felt more formulaic and structured. And now they're just there's guys making videos all day long. There's, their Snapchat all day long, just back and forth, texting each other. I think there's a lot of distractions there. Although there are still some really good programs out there for sure. But my algorithm loves door to door, obviously, because I watch all the videos, but recently I've been watching this guy and he gets just lit up. Just, you know, and you know better than anybody, some of the stuff that it's crazy what people will say to door-to-door reps, somebody that knocks on their door. And he is so good at de-escalating. This guy should be he should be the person that, you know, there's a kidnapping and he has to talk to the, you know, somebody's got hostages. He is so good and nothing is personal to him. And he immediately backpedals physically and, you know, verbally and gives people their space and apologizes. Hey, you know what? I should have saw that no soliciting sign. That's a big thing. Somebody, oh my, we could have another episode just on no soliciting signs. And I have a question about that I wasn't planning on asking you.
Bring it.
But this guy is so good.
So
Exactly.
Here,
so
on my desk.
So my brother, who was more in the door-to-door side, he grew up a skateboarder, and our first year at Proof, we had a shirt that on the front it said, "Soliciting is not a crime." Just like back when he was skateboarding, Santa Cruz had a saying that skateboarding is not a crime, right? But yeah. So anyway, this guy's really good, and it gives me so much confidence, and it such a juxtaposition of the guy that's handing Amazon packages and just being an idiot. But there's some really good reps out there. Let's talk about no soliciting signs. Do you knock them or do you not?
Okay, so here's my general rule of thumb with no soliciting. Pretty easy. Here's the two biggest mistakes reps make when they knock a no soliciting sign, okay? Number one is they'll knock on the door, they'll see the sign, they'll strategically position their body so it looks like they didn't see it, even though they did see it. And then somebody, if they point it out and say, did you see the sign? They'll look like kind of surprised, like, oh wow, I didn't see it down there or right in front of my face in neon lights. Like, and they lie, right? This is the whole part of lying, cheating, and stealing. Like, to me, why not just be honest with people? So that's the first mistake. The second mistake is this. The classic, if you're there, you know, let's say you're doing pest control, right? And the classic response is, oh, well, I'm not selling anything. I'm just telling you what I'm doing for the neighbors. No, you're there to sell them stuff. We all know these lies. And so do homeowners, by the way. So if you think you're saying something creative or unique, or that you're doing something by positioning your body and saying, I didn't see this, like people have heard that for 25 years. Like, they know you're lying. And so immediately you're building distrust with somebody. So what I've done is I have two rules on the other side of this. Two rules is this. If you walk up to a door and it has a no soliciting sign and you feel any discomfort with that, like that gets you a little bit, like maybe, you know, hairs on the back of your neck stand up, you get a little red, you know, don't knock the door. Really easy rule of thumb. You shouldn't do something you're not comfortable doing, because I think people, if you're a little hesitant to do that and somebody answers the door and now your pitch suffers, your confidence suffers because you know they have that no soliciting sign, you don't want them to say it, then it's like blood in the water for a shark. They are just going to attack you and spit you out and you're done. So don't knock it. Number one. If you do feel comfortable knocking a no soliciting sign, I also hate these are people that can't say no. Like, no, they're not. Like, they are not the people that can't say no, even though that's a macho. Door-to-door has become super macho, right? Like, okay, we got to talk about after. Remind me this time. We got to talk about knocking after dark. That's another one we have to explore. But let me finish my thought with no soliciting. The thing that I do, if I knock on a door and I feel comfortable doing it, I don't, get nervous about it all. I will call a sign out right away. Hey there, my name's Lenny. I'm the bug guy. I saw your no soliciting sign, but I wanted to really quickly stop by and tell you what I'm doing for Doug next door, for instance. Just call it what it is. Be honest. I think you gain people's trust and respect by not hiding behind the sign or positioning your body or saying you're not selling anything, like all of those things. Like, Pete, that's so old hat. Like, if you're doing that right now and you're listening to this, just stop. It's nobody believes you anymore. Like, it might have worked 20 years ago. It just doesn't work anymore.
Love it.
So that's my no
Love it.
soliciting.
So,
there you go.
A couple of follow-up questions. And I'm not selling anything. That response, it's just nails on a chalkboard to me. Like, they see right through it.
Yep.
To you, is there a difference? And I've heard this theory go around that there's a difference between no soliciting signs. So there's some that it's like, and what the theory kind of is that the more homemade or the more effort it looks like, those are the more scary ones, versus somebody had something at Home Depot and it might have been the previous homeowners and they just left it on the front door, like a sticker or something. Like, what is there to you? Is there any difference?
So here's the one I don't knock, right? I feel pretty comfortable. I haven't really thought about homemade or store-bought no soliciting signs, But I was knocking in Orlando with a roofing company several months ago or with a rep. And right by the doorbell, it said, please do not knock or ring, baby sleeping. I've got a 3-year-old, Allan, who takes afternoon naps. Like, I do not want a baby to be woke up from an afternoon nap because I know the price that will be paid by those parents. So that one I looked at, and the rep said, so what you going to do? And I said, I'm going to walk to the next door because I'm not messing with that one. That's just my personal belief. But yeah, there are some signs that I see, and I'll read them, right? Because I want to call them out and say, yeah, I saw your sign. That's, I'm not a Girl Scout, but hey, maybe I've got something as enticing as the Samoan cookies or something. Maybe I'll just improvise something like that if I see a sign that says, something about Girl Scouts. But I just call the sign out. That to me just feels the best way to do it rather than lie, not sell anything, or hide behind it. Oh, I didn't see it there. That's just,
I love this concept, and it applies not just to door knocking, and actually lawyers use it all the time. So if there's a weakness in a lawyer's case, they want to be the ones that control the narrative. So they're not caught up. They don't seem like they're caught off guard, and then they can bring it up and soften it before they're attacked on it. It's a great principle for door-to-door. It's a great principle for whatever your vulnerabilities are within your company. Like if you're just getting started, like you want to take that head on. Hey, people are going to ask me how long I've been in business. And so I'm just, when I get on the phone, we're going to, not have emotions about it. And we're going to take that head on. So I like that. Let's talk about knocking after dark. Man, people get mad. They're in the middle of dinner, or they're, what do we do?
So here's the unique place that I'm at is I'm not just really good at knocking doors. Like that's the talent. I better be if I'm still in it 27, 28 years later, right? But I'm really good at knocking doors, and I still knock doors, right? Like that's not something that, well, he did that, decades ago. I still knock doors, and I'm really good at it. But the other thing that I've been for the last 20 plus years is a business owner. So I'm not just looking to sell accounts like, wham, bam, thank you, ma'am, I'm out of here. I don't care if you stick around as long as I get paid my commission. That's not how I teach my people. That's not how we've grown these tens of millions of dollars of companies either, right? We've taught our reps how to sell it the right way, to use my sales flow process that I teach that has all these techniques we're talking about and obviously many more. So for me, it looks really cool for that office when they know Tim, I keep using Timmy. Okay, we'll use a different name. You'll say Cindy. So Cindy's out there knocking, and everybody's back at the office or back home watching the NBA finals, and Cindy just closed a deal at 10 o'clock at night because she kept knocking. And everybody wants to praise Cindy. Like, oh my gosh, she's a rock star. How did she just kept going? That's so awesome. That's so admirable. And everybody praises that action. Well, I know something, Allan, you know something as the business owner, that because Cindy was knocking after 10 o'clock at night or whatever, we probably got 3 one-star reviews on Google, another couple on Angie's, a few neighborhood like group texts or Facebook groups that have said, do not use this company because they woke up our baby or they woke us up, they were knocking really late. Like, is it really worth not only having all that collateral damage that you just caused by knocking after hours, but is it really worth making that rep Cindy a champion? Like, this is who you want to be like? Because now everybody thinks you can just knock after dark and that's okay. Yet as the business owner, all I'm seeing is 1-star reviews come in night after night after night because people are idiotically knocking after dark. So I look at it, again, as a business owner first, and then as a sales rep. That's the beauty of what I bring to the table for people and coaching people and helping people is I'm not just really great at sales. I can be really great at sales and also sell the right kind of accounts the right way after dark to me. I love to set appointments. If you read my books, you know my after dark kind of like strategies. It's let's set up appointments, 2 or 3 appointments after dark, because I love to end my day on a sale. So if I talk with somebody because of timing, I don't quite close them, husband-wife issue, whatever it was, like if I can set up 2 or 3 appointments every evening after dark, then I can almost guarantee myself that I'll have a sale after dark and I don't need to get any 1-star reviews to get that sale.
BugBucks is proud to partner with JT Eaton. JT Eaton is a family-owned and operated manufacturer of quality pest control products since 1932. Did you know that JT Eaton invented the first bait block and the first manufactured rodent glue trap? Since then, JT Eaton has continued to innovate with products like Little Pete Multiple Catch Mouse Trap, Zendo Zone's fruit fly traps, cleverly disguised as succulent plants, and the new stretch long extension poles that collapse to 3 feet and extend to 15 feet. JT Eaton is JT awesome. Yeah, I think there's this great takeaway of especially companies that have this door-to-door expertise. And that takeaway is you're a pest control company, you're not a marketing company. And we struggle with it because it's such a powerful tool. It's a great way to build a business. But you have to, and in a lot of circumstances, it doesn't really matter which way you're viewing the situation from. But in this situation and in some others, it does. And so is this a marketing company or is this a pest control company? Because if this is a pest control company, there's some things that I'm going to do that a lot of, even some of the really large pest control companies don't do. I'm going to do it differently than them because what we're trying to do is different. Like our reviews really matter to us. We're trying to provide a really good service, not just be really good at marketing. And so when you view it from that perspective, it's like, yeah, maybe we shouldn't be banging on doors late at night.
Well, and what is your strategy? Do you want to build a good business that's maybe sellable? Then you better be focusing on leaving good impressions with people. Because if you don't think acquirers look at that type of thing, or if you don't think that acquirers nowadays are looking at door-to-door sales from a different lens than a sale that came in from a GMB or a LSA or some kind of traditional marketing, radio, TV, billboard, whatever it is, they look at it differently. So this is, you know this, but I hold a monthly webinar. It's totally free for business owners to say, hey, should I do door-to-door or not? Like, is in my industry, for my company, should I do it? One of the first things I tell them is do not hire this out. And there's 3 main reasons you do not hire out a team from Utah to go do your door-to-door. Number one, it's going to cost you an arm and a leg, 100% plus of first-year contract value or whatever, 18, 24-month agreement value. That's stupid. Number two, the reason not to is you don't have a relationship with these door-to-door people. And so they're not going to really represent you or your brand because you didn't vet them, you didn't interview them. And number 3 is because of that, they're probably just going to put a lot of accounts on. They're going to have horrible retention because they don't care once they're gone from your office because they don't know you and all these other things. They're gone. And so now you're left going, what in the world? Like I just spent a fortune and I've got nothing to show for it. And I've seen that happen over and over and over to business owners. It drives me insane. Let me teach you, or somebody like Allan, somebody who's honest and integrity based. Let us teach you how to do door-to-door the right way so you can do it yourself. You don't need a bunch of guys coming from Utah to really make, and I'm from Utah, and I was one of those guys that served the mission. I know that. But we hired so many local people to build Detroit and Boston and these operations, and we didn't have a single one that was from Utah or did any kind of missionary work or anything like that. Like if you have the right tools, you can build it without breaking the bank and just really setting your company up for failure because you marketed it out to some other company.
As we're before I move on, where do people find that want to sign up for that free monthly webinar that you do? How do they find that?
LennyGray.com. So, I have, one of the things that you know about me, Allan, is I have a ton of free stuff. Like I try to put out more free stuff than anybody in door-to-door because I really do believe of the importance of elevating the game, teaching people how to do it the right way. So if you go to LennyGray.com, I've got free webinars. I've got a free newsletter. I send out a weekly sales tip where all my newsletter subscribers, I just send them out the right way to do things. Every single week, I've got a tip for them. I've got a free app that's out there. It's called Ask Lenny, where reps can learn the best practices for doing door-to-door. You go to my website, you can sign up for the webinars. You can get more information, how to follow me on social or whatever your flavor is, whatever makes the most sense for you. But it's just it's important if you're thinking about door to door, before you just jump all in with 2 feet and go hire a company and spend that, talk to me first, because I will tell you straight up what's going to work and what's not going to work, because I've been coaching companies for 15 plus years, and I know what works, and I know what you're going to regret if you attempt to do. And I've got, dozens of customers to prove it. I've got customers that are in the PCT top 100. I've got some that are in the top 50, or just hit the top 50 that I started with 5-6 years ago. And it's like, if you just set it up the right way, you can do it, and you can do it to make a lasting impact on your company for good.
Yeah, and honestly, with I've been around long enough to get, I have a good lay of the land, and you just have this really unique combination of skill and credibility / trustworthiness. And in door to door, I get it. You can walk the edge, walk right on that line. And you've just always been kind of, to me, like this mentor from afar. And so if, for the listener, if you're considering this, I get asked so much about door to door teams, if they're available or how to start them, or if you're wondering, just start with Lenny. Just go to Lenny, go to the website, go to one of those free webinars, and get some questions answered. That's just a great place to start. Lenny's not going to lead you astray. Not that type of guy. It's not the type of human he is. So I highly, highly recommend that you do that. Lenny, let's end on this question. And I'm going to touch a little bit of a nerve for a few people out there. I mentioned that there are 2 reasons why I think door-to-door gets a bad rap, especially within the pest control industry. And the first one I mentioned, we talked about with the bad actors doing dumb things, silly things, ticking people off. The second reason is I feel like people don't like us because of how much of an incredible resource that it is. I feel like people that don't do door-to-door, they look at pest control companies that do door-to-door and realize how we can build companies and scale and do these things. Is there any truth for you to that?
Oh, absolutely. If you look at some of the fastest growing and the biggest, baddest companies, the majority of them nowadays have some element of door-to-door. In fact, I spoke at an event for the moving industry of all things, right? Last year. And I showed the PCT top 100 pest control list in, I think it was the first year it came out. I can't remember, early 2000s, the first year it came out. And I went through and said, here's who did door-to-door. And I recognized one that did door-to-door that were in the top 50 maybe. I looked at it and compared it to last year and said, here's the PCT top 100. And I think it was something like 8 of the top 20 or 25 were like door-to-door companies. And most of the other ones had some element of door-to-door. So in 2 decades-ish, you went from an industry, the pest industry, of not really having much to do about door-to-door, to now, if you don't do it or have some kind of element in it, you're going to be left in the dust. Like that's just plain and simple. You're losing accounts that could be yours to your competitors because they have somebody going out knocking on the doors. And so you have to take that into consideration. And you don't have to do a full-fledged program and have 20 reps and all that. You can do a nice program, 3 to 5 reps. Each of them are going to bring in 50 to 75K in revenue every year. Like if you want to grow your company and say, well, I'd love to grow my company a couple $100,000 this year. Well, go get 4 or 5 door-to-door sales reps, and I can teach you how to do it, right? There's ways that you can do it and systematically approach it and do it the right way to set your company up. Not only that, not only the growth side of it, Allan, but also the efficiency side of it, right? Who doesn't love the idea of having, if you're a service technician out there, don't you love the idea of staying on the same street or, a couple streets doing 12 accounts or doing 12 starts or 12 regs in the same area? I mean, think about it from the business owner. You don't have the wear and tear on your trucks, your tires, your fuel expense, like all that stuff. You're just chewing through your profits if you don't have door-to-door because your technicians are driving around from zip code to zip code and city to city. Door-to-door fixes that to a certain extent.
Yeah, you're spot on. And for the people that haven't done door-to-door, I'm not a huge fan of them getting huge teams to start anyway. It disrupts so much if you go from 0 to putting on 3,000 accounts via door-to-door in 1 year, because so much is going to pop up. So if you're like, hey, I want to add a couple $100,000, I want to add a small team, that's just a great way to do it, because any type of influx to that degree, that quick of scale to a company, is going to disrupt all sorts of different areas. You have to have that infrastructure in place, and you have to understand, like, hey, how is this marketing different? You're going to get calls, you're going to get hate, you're going to get, some responses that you don't get through other means of marketing. But for me, and for what we're trying to do at Proof, and for a lot of my friends and their companies, it's just a great asset, and we just wouldn't be able to do what we do and we've been able to do without door-to-door. So
you need to have a stomach for it, right? Like that's at the end of the day. Because if you're like, well, I do consulting for a garage door company, and you know this, Allan, and I've been doing it for over 5 years now. And there's some people in that company that, we might have 7,000 interactions with potential clients, and I might have one concern that week. And they're flying off the handle like, oh my gosh, we had one 1-star review. I'm like, do you realize not only, yes, we did have one 1-star review, and I'm going to try to fix that, but we also had 47 5-star reviews. We interacted with 7,000 people. We did this much revenue. Like, some people just don't have an appetite for that. You do. There has to be a certain tolerance. It doesn't have to be like, crazy tolerance. Like, well, I guess half of my 5-star reviews are going to be 1-stars now. Like, no, that shouldn't be it either. You're not doing it the right way. But you do have to realize that, yeah, to make an omelet, as they say, right, you got to break a few eggs. Like that there is going to be some growing pains in that. So for sure, that's well said.
Yeah. I mean, you pick your poison. If there's so much good that comes from door-to-door, and if that doesn't, that's not your appetite, then you do something else. But it's, no matter what you do, one of the best things about door-to-door is it's actually pretty low financial risk. A lot of the programs are 100% commission based. It's tough to really pay somebody a base and for them to perform well. The incentives aren't there. It just gets complicated. So the financial risk is relatively low, and everything else, I've become more and more infatuated with door-to-door as opposed to less, despite all these things that are happening and some of the 1-star reviews and stuff like that. So we'll make sure to check out Lenny's website. Is it lennygray.com?
Yeah, LENNYGRAY.com. That's a great resource. Like I said, the app that's on the Play Store or the App Store, just ask Lenny. It's really to alleviate for business owners like having to answer their sales rep's question. It doesn't have to be door-to-door either. It could be anybody in the sales process of your organization, a call center rep, your techs, whatever. It's like, I always used to despise that, right? I have these summer sales reps and they'd all ask me the same thing, like over and over. And I'm like, like I have to answer the same question time and time again. To me, it's like, I just put the app out. So it's like, don't ask your manager. Because sometimes as a manager, maybe you're knocking doors, you're a team lead and you're trying to lead from the front and all those things. So you don't have the time to respond to your people in real time. So now you've got an app that you can just ask it a question. It's going to spit out, the best practice that I would use, that I would stand behind to do it. So that the app's great. I mean, like I said, my books right over my shoulder here, I got 3 of them. I got one specifically I put out for the pest control industry called Door-to-Door Pest Control Sales, Master the Game in Under 3 Hours. Literally all the scripts that I use when I go out and talk to people, all the techniques that I use, everything that I've done in almost 30 years in the pest control industry, it's basically in that book. And so again, and it's, I don't know, the Audible is like, I don't know, less than $10 if you like Audible versions. I narrate it. The paperbacks, $10, $12, whatever it is. Like, really, like, I'm not going to affect, you and your team to increase your sales by buying a book. I mean, everything that I do really is just low cost, high return is what I'm all about.
Awesome. I love it. And if for the listener, if there's a question about where Lenny's heart is, and you may not know the significance of this, but I do because I've been in door-to-door for a while. But he just said, hey, to my question, should you knock no solicit signs? He said, well, it depends. And we shouldn't knock at night. So if you're familiar with door-to-door and you get that type of advice from this level of individual, you know that this guy has his heart in the right spot, and that's for you to build your business. So make sure you check him out. Lenny, thanks so much for joining us. Knocked it out of the park like you usually do. Best of luck in all your future endeavors, my brother.
Awesome. Thank you, Allan. Always great to hang out with you.
Thank you so much for listening to the Bug Bucks Podcast. If you enjoyed today's episode, please show your support by subscribing and leaving us an honest 5-star rating and review on Apple Podcasts or wherever you listen to podcasts. Thank you, and we'll catch you on the next episode.